Hello, gentlemen.
Hello.
Hello,
And Karen and Lisa.
Um,
Everybody.
All right, I am ordering it. It's being recorded.
Anybody get this in the mail today?
Haven't had the mail yet today, delivered today yet, so.
Pretty interesting, given that the auto dealers are concerned about the new taxes and threatening to leave. Might be worth reading if it comes in your mailbox.
That's if the car dealers survive the next 5 years. So,
Yeah. Well, we may have a lot of affordable housing on that spot.
uh-huh.
Oh my God, we've lost Lisa. Oh, thank God. She once was lost, but now she's found.
Membership. Nice blazer.
I thought you might
So-
like that, Buzz.
Uh-huh.
Okay, let me. The chat.
Oh my, I hope it's not a a poorly attended meeting with the fire marshal here.
Well, if it means anything, we had more boats out racing today than are normal on a Wednesday night. So maybe they're all out still on their sailboats.
Could be a margarita related problem.
Yeah.
That tends to go along with sailboats in my experience,
Then there's that.
and houseboats. Lisa, are you coming from the LUDRC meeting? Oh. I'm surprised you were not at that one.
It wasn't open to everybody. It was more, I think that was more just a LUDRC meeting with them since there was no vote or anything. It was them going to be
Yeah.
discussing the
Well, I
process.
think it was open, but
No,
just preliminary. It was not open.
well, it was just for the LURDC and the applicant. They couldn't get, I just heard the intro, and Rod Satry was saying that they couldn't get all the right permissions and whatever 2 weeks in advance, so therefore can't do it.
Sounds familiar.
Uh-huh. So,
I'm not used to them being closed meetings.
I thought I
if
got
it's-
an email that said people were welcome to listen in.
if it's a regular meeting, but this was an irregular meeting,
Okay.
so
Oh, sorry. I have the world's worst.
Well, so far, we've only got,
the board.
besides the board, we've only got,
Now we
Board
got,
adjacent.
we got Karen
And
and we
Karen,
got.
who's on the board of everything else.
It's that summertime, right? So
Yep.
people are enjoying the daylight and
Which is why we often don't have, whether it's July or August, we usually take one of those months off because, hey,
Everybody else is.
Yep.
exactly.
I don't think it's ever happened where we've ever had so few people who've called a meeting or something.
we've had a board plus two. That's what we're running at right now.
That's right.
Right. And Eric is a VIP guest. So Thank goodness.
Is Charmaine joining tonight?
I think she was. She sounded a little harried when I spoke to her a little earlier. I think she's got a lot going on today.
Yeah.
Well, she
So-
was at the design review meeting, so.
Is Sue beside you, Peter?
No, she's downstairs watching TV and having a bite to eat, but she said she would be up.
Well, let's give it a couple more minutes because, and Eric's here twice, which is great. So
That'll help the old count.
oh, there you are. You're very handsome, Eric. And here's Kate. Hi, Kate. Let's then we can split the questions between the two Erics and get through fame and five-star. Let's give it just a couple more minutes. I have seen these meetings, only warm up at 7:35. So we'll give it 3 minutes.
I've got people entering the waiting room, but Zoom isn't letting me let them in.
Uh-oh.
Really?
Hello.
Huh.
3 people have entered, but oh, here they are. Okay. Just have to know where to look on the screen. And here comes Charmaine, Mary Lee Cole, Susan Coyd.
And a particularly adorable photo of Kate Spalding just flashed up there for a second.
Yay.
And for those of you just joined, we're glitching in letting people in. So we're just going to wait a few more minutes and we'll start at 7:35-ish and see who comes along.
Oh, I hear Sue.
So I assume that we have to add Sue to the count. So now there's 11, now there'll be 12, and you even though there's only 11 hookups.
Well, we'll see if people drop in the next few minutes. Opinion, should we just go ahead and get started?
Sure.
Hi, Sue. So welcome everybody to the 7:35 June 29th general membership meeting. I think we're supposed to ask if anybody reviewed the minutes of last month's meetings.
Yes.
And we then passed them, right?
Yes.
There was a typo, right?
She fixed them.
Oh,
Oh, you found another one?
No, I didn't find another one. Sorry.
We've got it fixed.
Good. Cool.
So we can approve those?
Yep.
Yes.
Good. So let's get started with a little bit of really brief visit so that we can be respectful to our special guest, Fire Marshal Govin's time. I wanted to mention if you haven't noticed, there's been a website glitch that is sending cancellation notices to those people who paid via PayPal, and sometimes several cancellation notices. I spoke to Mona Riley, the web designer, and we think that glitch is under control right now, maybe. And then we'll have more time in the near future to go in and figure out what happened. But right now, she seems to have disabled any outgoing messages from that. So we're going to have to figure out whether or not we've got the right system set up on the website to receive payment. And I want to thank Mona kind of in public because she's giving a very generous donation of her time. She gave us the website at a tiny little price, and she's been really cooperative in helping out with that. The second item that I have is that discussions about whether or not we're going to continue to meet on Zoom are going to be tabled until we return from the summer break. And that'll give us a couple more months to see what's going on in the COVID community and what the city is doing with their meetings. This evening, the pub's going to make a brief presentation concerning a street closure request. So they'll be able to talk a little bit about their event and how it affects the public. They're asking the PRNC to sign off on it. The only thing we need is a kind of reasonable number of signatures, which they haven't provided yet, but we think they have, and their response from AC Transit. It is up to the applicant and not the city to reach out to AC Transit. Then if they have it, we can sign off on it and the city will take it from there. The other thing that's kind of a little bit weirdly time sensitive is that there's an available art installation from the city AMBY Art in My Backyard project. So it's very time sensitive. So we're going to actually ask the board to submit an application to put art in public places in Point Richmond. So what I'm going to do is just sort of casually ask for anyone who has any ideas about where an art installation could go and the nature of that installation. For example, a mural someplace, or a statue or a sculpture someplace. If you would either send it to Buzz, which would be send it through the PRNC website, because he answers those, or I have put my PRNC Prez Gmail here in the chat comments, so that we can at least submit something. That does not, it's not mutually exclusive that any other organization cannot also submit suggestions. We just want as many suggestions to come from Point Richmond as possible. So we will be forwarding that information to the Arts of Point Richmond so that they might have some ideas for projects as well. It is $100,000 worth of art. It is site specific. So you'll actually be asked to suggest what kind of art you want. Then I encourage people to try really hard to think of projects that are highly visible in highly visible areas, because there's one to go around. So we have to prove our point that it's going to get to a lot of people. And you can see that there could be thousands of suggestions. So that will go off to the Arts of Point Richmond. I see you had a question, Karen. Unmute, please.
Sorry about that. The Point Richmond History Association's been kicking around the idea of painting a mural on the retaining wall along Tewksbury that represents all the demolished businesses that used to be on Standard Avenue before they were condemned to build 580.
Let me forward that application to you personally or to History Association, because I say we ask for all of it, because, you know, why not?
Why not?
And but I do want the PRNC to have some ideas as well, and then you have very site specific thing you're already thinking of. So there's money for that, but that's a Caltrans project as well. So that'll be a challenge, but I can talk to you a little bit about that. I have some knowledge on that.
I have connections at Caltrans through.
I think you do at work. Let me finish up. Susan White, the local librarian, wanted me to mention the good news that the library will be reopening to its pre-COVID hours starting in 2 weeks on July 13th. The hours are the ones that were painted on the door. They're also available at the city website. You can reach librarian Susan. I'll throw her. Does anyone want her phone number? Okay. At the library during opening hours. She's doing all kinds of projects with children and getting books to kids. And so it's really exciting down here. We hope to have her as a guest in one of the next couple meetings. And then I wanted to mention regarding Fire Marshal Govan, Govan. Hi, Eric. May we call you Eric?
Absolutely.
Okay, Eric, thanks. We'll be providing, or I see that Lisa already has provided a link to the Google documents that give a recap of the advice for keeping your home safe, and also give a recap of all the documents concerning the presentation he's going to make about weed abatement. I see Edie's here. Edie, you did a very nice job of straightening out your bookshelves. Good job. They look really nice. So that's all I have. So I'd like to get started on the agenda, which is police report, which they're not here. So we'll breeze on by that. Treasurer's report, Margie. Where'd Margie go?
She's here.
Oh, unmute, please.
Sorry. Yeah, we're in great shape. We have over $24,000 in the bank. And we just had a few expenses last year. Last month was the post office box that we had to redo, and some payments for some small things for the spring fling, but we're in good shape.
Great. And Margie, that 24 of the 24, some of it is still in the fund that is exclusively for
Yes.
improvement. Okay.
Schaefer
So
Fund.
what's it called again, please?
Schaefer Fund.
Thank you. That's just something that I had just learned about. Thanks, Margie. Anything else for us?
Nope.
Buzz, membership?
102 dues paying members. I believe we got one renewal this month, a check to the post office box. What a surprise. No PayPal people. Just we have
That
a
we
little,
know-
we have a
that
little,
we-
con- we have
that
a
we
little
know of.
contest. We have a little contest going as to who gets more activity, but post office won this time around.
Okay, thanks, Buzz. And now we're maybe even on time, exactly on time to introduce Fire Marshal Eric Dovin. I'm going to turn this part of the meeting over to Lisa Johnson because she's been taking some questions. She organized Eric to be here. We're very grateful. We know it's a busy season for you. And I'm going to turn this over to Lisa because Lisa's been taking some questions from the community. So I think she can just lead this portion, if you will.
Sure. Thanks, Philip. Yeah, it's my pleasure to have Eric here tonight. It's very timely, given this season of the year upon us and all the fires we've already been seeing happening in the county and throughout the state. Eric's going to present for about 15 minutes, covering things from home hardening to a few other topics that we discussed, and then he'll have about 15 minutes of Q&A. And I've sent him some questions in advance and kind of ran through those with him this morning. So hopefully we'll stay on time. So welcome, Eric.
Good evening, everyone. How you doing? Eric Govan, Fire Marshal. We're going to start off with a brief presentation of our wildfire preparedness and evacuation guide. I believe Buzz was going to pull that
Yeah,
up.
he's going to try.
Okay.
I've got all the documents. How to get them onto Zoom is a challenge, but
Gotcha. Okay. Well, while he's doing that, I'll briefly go through the guide because it's 31 pages long and it has a plethora of information in here. Production, it gives some registration in regards to the CWC, the Community Warning System, NIXL, Red Cross. You have PG&E for the public safety power shutoffs as well. So there's a lot of that. And then also terminology. Terminology is a big thing. It talks about the different terminology in there. It talks about the purpose of the guide and how all this came to be. It discusses definitions in there, and then the vegetation standards. Zone 1 is going to be changing now. We are waiting on the CAL FIRE's new maps. So there's going to be areas of the city that might increase, and there might be other areas that might decrease. So we're all anxiously waiting to get those new updated maps, which help us kind of identify all of that as well. And it talks about various parcels and ladder fuels, spacing between vegetation, the proper spacing, and then more importantly, where the rubber meets the road with a lot of defensible space, it comes to home hardening and ember defense. There's various things around your home that you would want to review and ensure that those spaces are free and clear of any combustible, as well as doing some additional things. So balconies and decks. Again, if you are replacing in a time where you're replacing your wooden decks, you might want to consider using alternative non-combustible type material. Roofs, if you're replacing your roof, you want to go with a minimum Class B or Class A rating. Eaves, boxing in your eaves, so that there's no void spaces where embers could potentially collect and start some of these fires in your vents, properly securing and placing the right proper vents around your home. And then it talks about walls and fencing. Me and Lisa, I talked to Lisa about an hour and a half today, reviewing a bunch of different various things. And then windows and doors. You got to be mindful, we do live in beautiful California, but we do have to face the wildfire issues on an annual basis. And it used to be seasonal, and unfortunately it's not, and that's the new thing about all of this. It's almost year round, where you might be having to cut vegetation once or twice. But more importantly, back to the windows, you might have a nice tree or bush in front of a window, and that bush potentially could be the space where the propagation from the embers hits, and now your bush is on fire outside of a window. Now you get radiation and convection heat penetrating that window, and now once that window is breached, now that fire's in your home. Now your home is burning. So you want to try to minimize those possibilities or eliminate those possibilities around your home, and those are some areas. So the brochure talks about all of that stuff, and it has all these things. It has a page 17, and this guide is on our website. So if you go to our wildfire page on our fire department's website, under the prevention tab, you'll see wildfire. This is in digital form. I plan on providing at least 50 or so to Lisa, so that you guys can have those during National Night Out to anyone who visits your guys' location. And then more importantly, this was kind of, this is the Ember page 18 and 19. So there's a picture that shows a lot of different photos around your home. And then it provides you an Ember awareness checklist. So it goes through the various things: wood roof, roof openings, roof debris, skylights, spark arresters, windows, vents, rain gutters, so forth, and so on. And then we get into fire resistant landscaping. Again, other things, it gives you something of a suggestion for landscaping. It'll say, eliminate this, keep this, use this. So it talks about that in regards to landscaping, plant selection, as well as erosion reduction that some people might be suffering from. So it gives you some of that. It talks about some red flag warning days, some things that you might want to consider on red flag warning days. So it talks about all of that stuff. And then just monitoring daily weather condition. Of course, we have the Santa Ana winds, but up here in Northern California, we have the Diablo winds, which is similar to theirs. And then more importantly, it talks about evacuation. How many people here have a to-go bag or know what a go bag is? I see Karen raising her hand in my windows and screens, but again, those things are important. And then more importantly, in these guides, it has these disaster recovery document sheets, so you can, itemize some of the things that you need to get from housing, ID, health, auto, other, and then, your any medications that you might have. So you have it all in one place. And then once you fill that out, you want to email it to yourself or email it to your best friend in the event of emergency. And then more importantly, this sign here, because if in the event you can't get out, as we do canvass the area to ensure everyone has gotten out, that sign helps us identify people who have not been able to get out of their homes in the event of evacuation. And then it talks about the evacuation preparedness, and then what to do, and then how to start a to-go bag, and then, just a minor one, and then gives you other things to discuss. And it just talks about, what to do prior to evacuation, during an evacuation, and then even, some American Red Cross locating your loved ones and stuff like that. And then it also provides an emergency supply checklist. So it covers a lot of information on there. I highly suggest this is what the cover looks like. A couple of years ago when we made this, we passed one out to, the task was to pass one out to every resident in the very high fire, which Point Richmond currently is. So we covered that type of stuff. And then there was a few questions. Lisa, do you want me to jump into the 3 questions that you talked about earlier today?
We can, if there's, I think, Buzz, did you figure out how to get me enabled?
No, not yet. Still trying.
Okay.
But the technology has got me defeated.
Oh.
No worries. Hey, and understand this, I'm available tonight, but I'm also available any other time you guys are meeting. So don't think like, oh, this is the one shot we have. Believe me, I'm more than happy to revisit you guys and answer any and all your questions. But go ahead, Lisa.
One thing people can do right now is, if you're at your computers, you can click on that Google Drive link that I put in the chat, and that will automatically open up the documents on your computers that Eric is actually discussing. So given our technical sharing thing that we're experiencing right now, one option is people can just open those right now on your computer, and then Eric can. So the first one he was going over is the document that's titled, you should see when you click on that link, hopefully you guys are seeing a website with like 5 PDFs. Is that what people are seeing? So the first, no?
It takes you straight to the evacuation guide and the guide only, Lisa. I'm sorry.
That's what I see. That's,
I got the 5 choices, but I'm already in Google Drive.
Oh, so that's interesting. So the people that aren't in Google Drive, what are you seeing? Just the,
Just the evacuation guide.
I'm seeing that wonderful wildfire preparedness and evacuation guide, which I want.
okay. So I'm gonna have to try to figure out why you guys they're all public documents. So I'm gonna have to try to figure out, do you see at the top, do you see an ability to go back? So do you see an arrow, a right or left arrow that you can keep going through the other docs?
No, it's just that one. It's a hyperlink to that guide specifically. It doesn't show that there's any other attached documents. Yeah, I'm not sure. But I mean, I can talk about the other stuff that we talked about.
None of you see a left arrow on the left-hand side of your screen?
This is all coming from Eddie, Alderette Sellers. That's what, to everyone.
No, further
He had
up,
sent this in the chat, and that's what I see.
So Eddie
further-
sent a document, and if you go all the way up to the top of the chat, Mary, there's a link from me that
No, it's not there.
yeah, it is.
Well, not on my computer, sorry, but
Okay.
that's okay. Go on.
So
So-
that guide, the guide that you guys are all opening up right now, that's the one that Eric was discussing. So
God.
But I also wanted to, there's another, one of the other documents that was on there is preparing for the power outage. So, you know, that's something, especially on these warmer days, or, you know, when PG&E is having other issues with, you know, power outages and potential wildfire. It's more of a wind-driven type event. So, okay, now we can all see the Google Docs.
yeah, so is there a particular page you want to focus on right now while we have it open? Is it 17 and 18?
Yeah, if they go to 17 and 18, or actually, yes, 17 and 18, that it would be the home, the Ember awareness. And then again, we're passing the frequently asked questions, and then, yeah,
This one right here.
yep, if you know, keep going down. Yep, keep going. Okay, so that's the first, all of those are depiction of what they're talking about on the corresponding Ember awareness checklist. So it just gives you, as you can see, there's a lot of little
22.
fires there. So as you can see, there's 22 of those there, and the next page talks about what that is. So there you go. So it talks about, it gives you all those different tips. Now, the interesting part of it was, Lisa asked me a great question today, and she says, what am I supposed to do when someone asks me the question of, is there a company out there that does this? We have a lot of, you know, seniors or people with the inability to understand what all this, or do their own research. Are there companies out there? And I said, you know what, that's a great question. We even kicked around the idea of like, let's start a company ourselves. But I did a quick internet search, and there's actually a company out that's available. It's called the Home Hardening Company. And what they do is they come out and give you a bid on what to do on your specific home. So they'll go through the various services and give you what some of those things might be in regards to your home in those various aspects. So they'll talk about all that stuff, and they actually come out and would be able to give you some of the stuff that you might want to do around your home to help you fight, you know, home, you know, get the home hardening, and then, you know, create and make your home a better defensible space. So,
Can you guys see this website?
yeah, and that's it right there. So
Yeah,
you
it's
can-
an awesome website.
yeah, it's very informative, and I was surprised to see it. I'm surprised I haven't heard of it sooner, but you know, I'm gonna push it around I'm on the executive board of the Northern California Fire Prevention Officers Association. And we meet once a month. Last Friday, I was up in North Tahoe for a meeting, and we get around Northern California to various areas and promote prevention in the various topics. And of course, being in North Tahoe during fire season, it was all about wildfire. So we were talking about all of this type of stuff. And that's why I said I'm surprised I haven't had the opportunity to come across a company like this. So I'm definitely going to reach out to them to see if they can come even give us a presentation so we can get a better understanding of the services they provide and ensure and vet them out, so to speak, so we can now hopefully pass this along to our residents as an additional resource. And so that's kind of what that one guide was. The other document in there, I don't want to spend too much time on the guide now that you guys have it, but if you have questions, feel free to give me a call. One of the other documents was the low cost retro list, and that was from the state fire marshals. There you go. That's it right there. And it just gives you some low cost retrofit lists that you can potentially do. And then it also on the backside gives you low cost ways to create defensible space and enhance the effectiveness of home hardening. So, and it provides additional, those blue links are other links to other website for additional information. So it was just updated this year. So it's a great resource for things that you would like to do. And again, feel free to ask questions through the PRNC, or if you want to drop me an email with a specific question, I'm always happy to do so. Just be mindful that it might take a few days to get back to you. So.
Then did you want to go over any of these?
We can go over that one there. That is more so a very high, so this map is from 2007, as you can imagine. It's a dated map, but CAL FIRE has been in the process for the last 2+ years of updating these maps. And as you can see, if you pan over to the left side of there, where you guys reside, it's not even on there, that map. So how Point Richmond came to be, I'll give you a quick history lesson. One of my predecessors, who actually still resides in Point Richmond, said, well, I live in Point Richmond and I'm going to make this a very high fire hazard severity zone. So he did that through an ordinance, and ever since it's been there. So some of the retrograde things as I update our city ordinance, and it hasn't been updated since 1992. And I was planning on doing it last year, but then I was told all the new maps are coming out. You might as well wait because it's going to change everything. I said, okay, I'm waiting for it. But as I'm waiting for it, I want to have a conversation with you guys, since you do live in Point Richmond, and maybe even have additional ad hoc meetings with the PRNC to talk about it. Like, hey, do you guys want to stay within the very high fire, or do you want out? Because if CAL FIRE doesn't designate it a mutual threat zone or very high fire, then you don't have to do some of these things. Now, I understand most of you would want to do some of these things, but again, I'm here to have a discussion with you guys and understand what level of this defensible space do we want to really do? Do we want to get into it? Do we want to go down the route of creating a FireWise community? And what a FireWise community is, it's a national program where, neighborhoods and communities come together and they do all of this home hardening and defensible space, all the required stuff that you're to do, but they are doing in the collective. Now they're being recognized as a FireWise community from the state and the national level, and it helps you guys pursue additional grants through your PNRC and stuff like that. So it's a great motto, but it's peer-to-peer, neighbor to neighbor. So it's one of the things where you guys are holding each other accountable, and then I come in when someone isn't being a responsible resident to say, okay, we got to get this done. And then even that process, where people come into other situations where they might be able to do the home hardening and other things. So it's a process, and I want to make sure that it's done as a collective with the people who live in the area, as opposed to me just saying, oh, this is what I'm going to do. I know what's best. That's not how this works. I'm here as a servant through our prevention division to ensure you guys are getting what you're needing.
Great.
Yep.
So I think, do you want to mention the Measure X funding that most people are likely very not aware of this, and it's really helpful.
Yeah, so Measure X funds came to be last few years. It came into where the county is collecting all the funds for Measure X, and Measure X is supposed to be funds used throughout the county, which they do. Part of, I believe it was $2 million, and 1.2 of it was put aside for this crew that they have, who responds and deals and mitigates vegetation management throughout the county, so to speak. But it's special projects. The first one that we're trying to do is Castro Ranch Road. A lot of vegetation, overgrowth vegetation. That is a one-way in, one-way out type of situation. So I'm in the process of collaborating with our Parks and Landscaping Division, as well as our Public Works, in conjunction with the Measure X funds, with that crew 12 that comes out and does all of this, abatement type of work. Now, after that, it's project by project. So you guys, as well as other areas in the city, the El Sobrante, Richmond area, that is, they're asking for a lot of projects. But when I talked to Lisa, I said, no, these Measure X funds are for the entire city, or more for the entire county. And even I've reached out to the county fire marshal, Chris Bachman, and I'm actually going to see him tomorrow. And, we're proposing all of these, mitigation things that we want to get done. But he's kind of telling me like, hey, I only probably can get 6 projects done depending on what they are. I know the first one is a major project. We want to make sure we get that one. But then after that, let's figure out and try to be mindful of where we could get more bang for our buck. And part of that process has been me reaching out to our Public Works and our Landscape Division, who are understaffed, as my division is. But it's like, hey, the county is saying for us to use those funds, the city needs to match our effort, so to speak. So they'll send that crew out, and they'll even hire third-party contractors if that's what's required. But we have to match with some type of city resource, be it dump trucks, chippers, paying for the hauling, because of course they just don't want to cut and leave it there. They want to cut and make sure that, as well, I do too, as a fire marshal, wants to ensure that dead vegetation is being removed from the area and not just being, spread across an open space, so to speak. That's not necessarily what we want to do as well. So be mindful. If you guys have any projects, please let me know so that I can put those projects within that group of 6. I don't want you guys to feel like, oh, well, he only took care of this section of the city. I want to spread this out to ensure the residents feel that their needs in all areas of the city are being met. So please come together as a group. Let me know what things you guys would like to see done, and then I can add that to the list of things. Like I said, I have one major project, and I have several other projects in other areas of the city. But before I go to the county and say this is what we would like, I definitely want to get your guys' perspective on what type of projects that you guys would like to see in your area of the city.
Anecdotally, I spoke to the supervisor for the Parks Department, who's responsible for 16 parks, including the Point Richmond parks. His name is Jesus. He's replacing David. He said by the end of this week, he expected to be about 70% done on the checklist that he had from you, Eric, or from your department. So that's as the actual, I think, weed abatement goes and stuff, but that also is just what that city worker was telling me.
Yeah, the list that I post in regards to the city-owned properties and things that they do, I try to hold their feet to the fire at the schedule that they provide me. I'm well aware that they're understaffed, and I haven't even started that process of verifying that those are getting done and completed. Because
I
at the time that this year, I'm dealing with more complaints for city-owned properties than I am anything else. So unfortunately, it's, you know, my 4 years into this process, it's a Groundhog Day in that field. So I totally understand your perspective, but yeah, I try to work with as many departments that I can to ensure we're doing the best that with what we got.
And can you just quickly, before we go to Q&A, can you touch on Miller Knox Park? We talked about that, like who's the
Yeah,
line of
so
defense there?
yeah, Miller Knox is under the purview of East Bay Regional Parks. So they have their mitigation kind of standards that they do and stuff that they look out, but they're not a fire response crew. They call other resources. They call their local city and then, you know, the other jurisdictions. But they do a good job of doing what they do. But just understand that anything that's going on within Miller Knox Park, we're the ones responding. And then unfortunately, before we call CAL FIRE, we have to expend all our resources. Otherwise, whoever calls CAL FIRE and you haven't done so, they send you the bill for that event. And we're in no position to be flipping any bills for any mitigations that we're dealing with if we have to call additional resources. And our local CAL FIRE response is coming from the Santa Clara unit. So, you know, how quickly they can get the resources we need up here. But what my new deputy chief was telling me that I wasn't necessarily aware of, that we have to expend all our resources before we call them. So that was an interesting point.
Yeah, and then the other big hot button around the area is the part over the BNSF.
Oh,
tunnel
yes.
And stuff there.
So-
Can you give an update on that?
Yeah, absolutely. So last year was the first time, and BNSF has been a very challenging corporation to breach per se. But I got a great contact within their company. He's now a friend of mine. But last year was the first time that I actually got them to come out and mitigate that tunnel. Very proud of that, but I've already talked to Tim, and he's been out of town working in other areas. He's got from Bakersfield up through the top of California, and he's the only representative. So as you can imagine, he's bouncing around various areas, but he's in the process of vetting out their internal process of contracting with contractors to get this work done. So he's aware of the work. Last year, they did a good job for the amount of work that they had to do. It was kind of like, look, we know we're not going to get it all done in a year. Let's phase this approach. Next year, we'll start with something. We'll start here, and then we'll expand, you know, to other expanded areas in there. So I'm trying to do that so that I'm not killing his budget all in one kind of project. And I'm trying to be mindful of that too, because 2 years ago, I used half of his budget with one project, and it wasn't even in the very high fire. It was an area off of 7th Street in Hensley, which was more of a homeless encampment, but it got to the point where it was like, look, you guys got to do something. It took them a week and a half and close to $750,000. Yeah, so as you can imagine, I don't want to continue to do things like that if I don't have to, as opposed to these other projects in other areas where they're responsible for. So that is definitely in the pipeline to get done. I can't, if I wish I could tell you or give you a date, but as soon as I get that from Tim, I can share that with Lisa.
Okay, let's open it up to Q&A. I think Frances had her hand raised first.
You're muted, Fran.
Unmute, Frances.
I leave Point Richmond to go into the city of Richmond, and whether I use Ohio or whatever I'm using, the big old trees, the barks are just falling off of them. What happens to the trees?
Are we talking the trees on Ohio?
Yeah,
Yeah, those dead trees or the overgrown vegetation trees?
Well, they still got leaves on them.
No, that's what I'm referring to. So what would you like to see? Because that's an open space right there on Ohio and the Parkway, but, in that area, is that the open space you're talking about? That abuts Atchison Village?
I can't tell you. I just see the bark falling off the trees and the trees are still standing. Are they just, they're just gonna die? That's what's happening.
Not necessarily. I mean, just because the bark is falling off, I'm not an arborist, so I can't 100% tell you, oh, that's a dying tree, other than, maybe it's shedding here or there. But I would have to refer that to our Park and Landscape Division.
Please do, please
Okay.
do.
But help me out, Francis, can you repeat the location of the trees?
Wait until I drive tomorrow and then I will send it to Peter, excuse me, Philip.
Yes.
I'll send it to Philip and he can send it to you.
I'll
Okay.
forward it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Buzz?
This really probably isn't your question, but does the Richmond Fire Department still drive around and look for homeowners that have not cleared a defensible space around their house?
Yes, each of our areas that are responsible for defensible space inspections, they started those July 17th, and they'll go through the end of August doing all those defensible space inspections. So if you haven't received a notice yet, I'm hoping that everyone did receive the trifold notification. We sent it to every home. If you're a renter, then it would have went to the homeowner. So just be mindful of that. But yeah, and then that explained our entire process and then gave you some additional information on kind of what to prepare for when we do these defensible space inspections. But keep in mind, we do not go into people's backyards. We do these from the curb and what's visible from the curb. So if there's something behind a home that we can't necessarily see from a street, it's in your best interest to touch base or shoot me an email and let me know of a hazard that you might see. But then someone needs to let me know or provide access to that hazard so that I can get my eyes on it, or that one of my inspectors, the one inspector I have in the city, can put their eyes on what that hazard might be.
Thank
Mary?
you very much.
Mary?
Yes. We have a tinderbox up the hill from us on Buena Vista onto East Scenic. It's one way in, one way out, a very narrow, windy street. There are going up Buena Vista, Buena Vista. There are multiple trees. They're open lots. One of them is for sale, but there's a huge amount of just plain open lots. The trees are dying. The branches have fallen down. Homeowners around have dragged all this dead brush and these dead limbs and trees and mounded them up by the side of the road because, what to do with it. If there were a spark on any of that, I mean, it's just like a tinderbox of fuel waiting for somebody to pick it up or to go up in flames, one or the other. And then add to that, there are sort of lots have really high dry grass. And I know there's a big, huge open lot of dry grass down next to Kate Spalding's house, and she has her hand up too. So this is a whole area of Point Richmond that goes up the hill on the north side of Miller Knox, okay? It goes all the way up to Miller Knox, and at the top, there is Miller Knox. And I know the Park Service has cut down maybe 5 big pine trees there for fire prevention, but all the homeowners and everything, all the houses down below. And there's another street that's kind of right next to us, which is a dead end, Arizona. It goes seriously steeply straight up the hill, and it's just gobs of overgrown eucalyptus.
Mary Lee,
go.
Mary Lee, may I interrupt for a second? I think it might be useful if we're talking about a lot of things, if either of you would, if you'd like to email me the details, because I think, I don't want to speak for Eric, but I think it's pretty difficult for him to itemize all this information. So either directly, maybe email Eric or email me and allow me to forward that for you, because that's a lot.
It is a lot, and I'm very concerned about it.
Correct.
So, Eric, how do I mean, I'm glad to email it to you as well, Philip.
My email's in the chat, Mary.
Oh, all right.
Yeah, but if not, I'm
Yeah.
more sure anyone on here can get you my contact information so you could email it.
I mean,
trying to jot down-
the mayor has to drive up that street to get to his house. So,
I know there's some open space lots that recently got mitigated that, you know, I've been aware of for well over a year, but well, not a year, but 6 months or so. But that's a long time to be dealing with things of that.
and there's a couple that haven't been mitigated. So,
I'm
okay.
with you there, and yeah, just let me know. Just understand that it's a process, but you know.
I understand. So
Yeah.
if I could just give you the streets, you can.
Yeah, give me the streets and then I can kind of navigate from there, because like I said, I know the area quite well, but specific lots where I might see something that I don't find as egregious as someone else, but I do want to
Yeah, you can
address all your concerns.
need to check it out.
Yeah.
Okay.
Charmaine? You're on mute, Charmaine.
Thank you. Okay, so one of the things that you mentioned while you were talking, you said something about Firewise Community is a kind of program
Yes.
that you wanted more information on it. I'd like to find out more about that and what we might want to do as a community to become involved. Maybe we want to be more educated. How would I get information on that?
Yeah, they should have their own website. If you just typed in Firewise, I think it's Firewise America. If you Googled that, that should pop up their website, and they got a ton of information on that. And it's very informative, and it gives you the process and all of that.
Okay, great. One more question.
Yes.
First of all, thank you. I really appreciate your time. Thank you
You're
for
welcome.
coming to talk to us today. I would just like to know a general answer for if I'm at home and I'm doing whatever and there's a fire near me, how do I know I should evacuate? What is the system in place right now for telling residents time to go?
That's where there's a page in the wildfire, and it talks about the notification. It's going to be a NICSO related notification if you're signed up. If it's a community warning system from the CWS, you have to be signed up for the reverse 911 if we were to go through them. So those two things would be where you would want to get those. A third one that we're working on is Zone Haven, but that's not you got to be alerted for that. There's some things that they have to resolve where it works seamlessly, because if you don't have your phone next to you and you haven't put the notifications on, there's a lot of things that could happen if you don't do them appropriately. But NICSO and the community warning system you should ensure that you're signed up for those two, because that's where we would send that out. But be mindful too, our emergency services manager we're looking for one. So we don't currently have that position filled right now. So that's another kind of issue that we're working through.
And just one more question, that community warning system, reverse 911, does that work on cell phones?
I believe so. I believe so.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Kate?
Hi, Eric.
Yeah.
This is the week where we become more and more aware of fireworks let off in the neighborhood. And oh, by the way, Mary Lee, the lot next to my house on Buena Vista and East Scenic, that little space in there. It was just cleaned up this week, just a few days ago. Yay. It was a day of irritating buzz, but thank God they did it.
Yeah. Okay. thank
And
you.
there is another lot that I know we're referring to as the mayor drives up Buena Vista before it becomes East Scenic. But in any event, my concern is that really, I guess I'm humming and hawing because I don't quite know what the anti-firework program is in Richmond. And I'll say that because I just recently drove through Pinole, and there are now street signs everywhere in Pinole that say fireworks not allowed, period. And there's, I think, a phone number on there where you can contact for further information. But in any event, that really impressed me, that there was a really active way of reaching out to the community to say, don't tolerate fireworks or report them if you know. And so can you address that, please?
Yeah, I mean, there's signs, we're trying to do that, but it's kind of a last minute ditch effort in regards to getting those type of signs out. I just relayed that information yesterday to what the verbiage should potentially say, but it's similar to that. It's like, because they're illegal in Contra Costa County. So that means they're illegal in our city, but unfortunately, we went through last November, we were trying to persuade city council to, I had a fire inspector list of 2 people that were on that list to get promoted to assist in some of these fireworks abatement, but city council decided to not go that route. So at this point, police didn't have any personnel to assist with that. And we were trying to be the one division or department in the city that did, but unfortunately they didn't approve that process. So unfortunately it's, you know, I think the city was hoping that they would curtail a lot of neighborhood displays since they were putting on the normal July 3rd show. So that was the hopes that show would hopefully persuade other people not to do their own neighborhood. But I guess we're going to wait and see what it really looks like. But from a abatement process, you know, it's challenging unless you physically see someone to do this. And I've talked to district attorneys. I was involved in this entire process, so I'm well vetted on what it would take to prosecute someone for illegal fireworks, but it takes a lot. And unfortunately, the city wasn't in a position to go down that route. So it's going to be more of what we normally do. We are upstaffing for the first time, an extra crew that will be mitigating the very high fire, the more troublesome areas historically that we are aware of. And they're going to be just driving around all day looking for those type of activities to try to simmer them down. And, you know, that type of stuff. We are actively doing a lot on social media. I'm not the biggest social media person, but if you are following any of our department feeds, we're pushing that out. There's a whole messaging campaign between the police department as well as us to try to curtail some of this too. And it's just all preventative firework measures. So.
Okay.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Fire Marshal Govan. We really appreciate your time. And it's clear that we could have you back once things tone down for you a little bit. Once again, if anybody doesn't want to directly forward the emails, you can certainly email the PRNC and we're happy to forward them to Fire Marshal Govan.
I think Edie's the only one who didn't get her question answered. Is that something that you can do offline, Edie? Okay, perfect.
Yeah, let me know, Edie. I'll make sure I get back to you.
Thank you very much for being here. We sure do appreciate it. And I hope you stay safe. This is a busy season for you.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yes.
I want you guys to stay safe. My job is to keep sure you guys are safe. So thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
All right. Enjoy your evening.
So we're going to move on to the community briefs. We're running a little bit late, but that was certainly worth it in my opinion. PR Search, Charmaine is here and muted.
Uh-huh.
So PR CERT is the Point Richmond Community Emergency Response Team. And we do talk about fires and fire preventions in PR CERT. So we also talk about disaster preparedness, like for earthquakes and floods or whatever else might happen, tunnel falling or whatever, road closure, trees across the road, railroad accidents. So anything could happen. But we try to do preparedness so that people are prepared. So we're ready. So things happen and we can go into place and start working to help, whatever that help is going to look like. We are continuing our training. We're working on radios and first aid training right now. The first Sunday of the month is 10 o'clock on a Sunday morning is usually when we do our training. We meet in Judge Carroll Park. In addition, I want to just mention that in Richmond, there's a greater CERT organization, and we lost our manager a few months ago. And I'm pretty sure that they're now interviewing. I know they took the job off the job listing. So I think they're now starting the interview process for a new manager. Why is that important? Because when we get a new manager for the city of Richmond for managing CERT organization, then they will start getting training classes going. And we're all kind of waiting for that to happen. As soon as there is a schedule for training classes, I will let you know. Thank you.
Thanks so much, Charmaine. Next up is the Business Association. I do see
Charmaine,
I'm sorry.
What time do you meet on Sunday, the first Sunday?
10 o'clock Sunday mornings.
Okay, thank you.
Mhm.
And I'm here.
Hi, Cordell. What's up with the Business Association?
Well, first of all, I do apologize for coming on a little late. It was something came up unexpectedly. So for the Business Association, it is, let's see. Oh, there's going to be a 3rd of July fireworks show on the Red Oak Victory this coming Sunday, I believe. It's going to be a lot of fun. And let's see what else. And this is the first time we've had it since the pandemic. So hopefully everyone's invited. And that's pretty much it. And I will save my comments for the RNCC too.
Thank you very much, sir. Karen, are you going to speak today for the History Association? Anything going on there?
Yeah, we've had a break-in on the 20th of June. They stole $50 out of our cash box. They came in an unlocked window on the side, so there was no breaking and entering. And then the next day there was the rash of graffiti on the Point Richmond History Association Museum window, and across the street there were 13 windows hit in all, eight windows hit in all. So yeah, we're weathering that. We're kind of strengthening our security, contemplating a camera installed on the outside of the museum. And other than that, my first Saturday stint is coming up this Saturday. If anybody wants to come by and say hi, and I'll be wearing a cute vintage dress with a hat. So stop on by.
Thanks, Karen. Mary Lee, do you have any news for us from Archie Point Richmond?
Just a little bit. I hope that most of you have noticed the Taking It Outdoors Kids Banner project that was facing all the fences around the schoolyard so the children could see their art. Now the school's out is displayed beautifully all around the fences at the George Carroll Park as a sort of entry into town full of art. We have a new show that's just been installed out at Laura's Fine Dining. I mean, over 50 pieces. It's really spectacular. And you can look forward to another show at Kaleidoscope, which is going to be very whimsical. It's featuring art, you know, whether it's photography, digital photography, painting, acrylics, whatever, of mythical, whimsical, fantastical animals. So that's what's brewing right now. And more to come. And I hope everybody has really been enjoying David Moore's 50 years of art that's being featured in the post office windows.
You guys are doing a great job, and the kids' art is the most cheerful thing to hit our neighborhood in ages. It's really, it puts a smile on people's face, I think.
Yeah, that's great.
Thanks, Mary Lee. Kate? Oh, did you
Hi.
have a question? I'm sorry, Karen had a question.
Yeah, I just wanted to mention that one of the pieces of David Moore's art is the merchant map I collaborated with him on. And there's plans afoot to turn that into a marketing brochure to have a interactive business experience with visitors to Point Richmond, to the retail stores.
That sounds cool. That sounds really cool. Thanks. Kate?
Thanks. Thank you to Mary Lee Cole. I keep calling Mary Lee Cole because I don't know if that's how I know you, but Mary Lee, I love the kids' art around the fence line. That is really inspiring. I have yet to get to David Moore's presentation, so thank you for that information. Magic Lantern did their our second show this year and last one in June, and we're taking a summer break. It was well attended, surprise for June, and we actually had 4 young people attend. Yay! We also had pastries, northern climate, Swedish, Danish kind of pastries for sampling out in the patio. We're not yet allowed to eat in the church, so there was plenty of munching going on there. So that was a crowd pleaser. And in about a month's time, I'll be sending out membership forms. We're trying to recruit more people so I get more stability throughout the year, and just a window of what our speakers might be like for the coming year at Magic Lantern. Thank you.
Thanks, Kate. Have a nice month off.
Thank you. I am.
I don't see anybody here from Prnc. Lisa, do you have anything for homeowners, or do any of the other Brickyard Cove people have anything from homeowners this month?
Yeah, I think the only thing that happened was there was the first Terminal 1 study session that happened, and it didn't get completed. It got shut off because of a lack of quorum once one of the board members' phone died. So he died, and then they lost quorum. So the meeting,
that may be a good thing.
Yeah. So, but there's a lot still going on politically behind the scenes because people aren't happy with the design that are on the design review board, from what I'm gathering. So to be continued. I'm not sure when it will come back before the DRB.
Okay, well, you will definitely keep us informed, and that will be a dispatch from the Prnc. I see, Charmaine, you have nothing for us today, right?
Yes, I would like to speak, please.
Okay.
We are not having an official meeting today for Land Use Design Review Committee, but we did have a workshop session, and it was with the developers who are they're making a development between Sea Cliff and Brickyard Landing, across from Brickyard Cove. It's been an empty lot for a long time, and it's kind of strange with the grading, so they have to add a lot of grading in there. So they have a new and improved design, and we worked through a lot of details with them today. It was a workshop so that we and them just discussed it in general. They are coming back in September. September 28th is the last Wednesday of the month, and they will be at the Land Use Design Review meeting, and that will be open to the public at 6 o'clock. And then they will be presenting at Point Richmond Neighborhood Council General Meeting for a short period of time, but we'll be looking for your questions then.
And we'll have to plan for quite a bit of time or a little appropriate time for questions of that, because it's a pretty important project. Thanks, Charmaine, for updating us on that. Anybody, Fran, any news from the Maskers?
We're just moving right along. We had Sorted Lives, which was a whole lot of fun. And then we squeezed in What Women Want by taking, if there was already a matinee schedule, we took the evening. If there was an evening schedule, we took the matinee. Karen had a really cute part in What Women Want. I didn't know what to expect. It was a hoot. It was really a hoot. Sorted Lives closes on July 2nd, and then we go all the way till July 2nd before we have, no, it closes on July 2nd, and then we go all the way to August before our next production starts. But the last night of What Women Want was packed. We turned people away. It was amazing. I said to people, oh no, you don't have to reserve. No, we've never had a full house. Well, we had over full house. It was a lot of fun. And so we're looking forward to the next, and I'll keep you posted about what's next.
Thank you, Fran. I appreciate that. I saw the funny play. It was different and off color, but we laughed the whole time. I saw it with Edie, actually. Thanks so much. Cordell.
So
any-
wait a minute,
Oh.
excuse me, Philip. So I'm cleaning off the counter because we do serve refreshments, and and this tall man is walking out and he says, hello, Fran. And I had no idea it was Philip until a little while after he was out the door.
I thought I was, thank you for calling me tall. And a man. Okay, thanks so much for that. Cordell, anything from the Neighborhood Coordinating Council?
Yes, and I have a photogenic memory of the how many participants this month. So we had about, I say 33 people in attendance, that's pretty substantial. So I usually go through the departments, but in the interest of time, I said I'll skip. So the first of the presentations, we had the folks from the Matrix Consulting out of San Mateo to talk to us about emergency services. And I was like, because I just listening to Fire Marshal Govan speak, and I was like, oh, it's kind of related to emergency services. So it was pretty interesting from my perspective. And then second, we had LaShonda White to talk to us about how the city should be spending the ARPA funds. So I had a couple of ideas, how that money should be allocated. So, but that's another thing. So, and then what else? We had the old business part. So I'm not going to repeat what was said. So the new business part, I kind of mentioned it to Jan about the idea of a future topic is to invite Superintendent Hurst to come to a future meeting to talk to us, to give us a broader overview about what's going on with our district. Because if people have not heard about that shooting that happened at De Anza about a month or two ago, I was devastated. I was like, shooting in front at high schools, I'm like, ugh, what a droll concept. So that being said, I did mention it to Jan, and she kind of I told her to say that for the board to consider and having Miss Dr. Hurst to come to a future meeting. So that's pending. So all in all, so the next meeting will be July 11th, 7 p.m. via Zoom. And hopefully, I'm just saying it tentatively or hopefully that we'll be able to meet in person, God willing. So that's pretty much it. And I'll be more than happy to answer any questions from the membership.
I think you wrapped it up. Thanks, Cordell. Next up is, Maren and Gary are on their way to a family reunion. So that leaves us leaves time for Peter. What's going on with ping pong / table tennis?
Actually, been doing fairly well. And I have to give a shout out to Kate, who's shown up for two nights, and she seemed to enjoy herself, and she she went from not knowing which end of the paddle to hold to being pretty good at returning the ball very quickly. And she was really good at serving, which most people take a long time to learn. So, and this last Monday, we only had 2 people show up. And I think we're suffering the same issue that everybody else does, and people are just busy in the summertime. But it's still fun, and the yacht club is thrilled that we're holding it there. So I would encourage anybody, if you want to learn and get some exercise, and the drinks are cheap. So, oh, and I see Kate, your hand is up. Would you like to say something?
Yes, I
All
am
right.
looking for a partner or somebody who wants to learn table tennis. I love to play more, and I stole Peter's partner. I stole away his partner so I could play with Peter. He was an awesome instructor. So anybody wants to come down, give Peter a shout so we can get coordinated, and let's have some table tennis.
Yeah, thank you. And I enjoy teaching, but I do have to, it's not really fair when I play people, because obviously I have to tone down my response. So if we could get more people that want to learn, then I think it would be more competitive if they played each other. And
Right.
and people improve very quickly. You'd be surprised. You might not be able to hit the ball back 2 or 3 times in a row when you start, but I've seen people who play. We have one young fellow, well, he's in his 30s, who's been playing for just a couple of months, and he's already improved dramatically. So so it's encouraging. So anyway, it's doesn't really cost anything. It's Mondays, 5 till whenever, at the Point San Pablo Yacht Club on Cutting. I'll just drive up to the gate, push the black button, and we'll let you in. That's it.
Thanks, Peter. And yeah, Kate was telling me the other day how much fun she had. So that sounds great. Anybody, we just got a little update from Cordell about what's happening on the 3rd on the Victory. Anybody? Karen, you're on that board too, I believe.
Yeah, and they just announced the Homefront Movie Festival starting Thursday, July 14th. We're showing Casablanca.
Oh, man.
It's always the mid-July movie, and
I'm coming.
definitely
Karen,
a
I'm
crowd
coming.
favorite. And I've gone every year for the past 7 years with my mom. That's our favorite movie. And so, yeah, I highly recommend you come and get some popcorn and watch Casablanca.
Thank you,
there,
Karen.
Karen.
That sounds exciting.
It looks like the beginning of a fabulous friendship.
Do you would dress up for it, Karen?
Oh yeah, I'll try.
Well, that's worth the price of admission. Always the hats.
And by the way, when you go to the movies, you can buy wine and beer and sodas and tea, and they usually have popcorn and cookies. And bring a pillow to sit on, because the seats are a little stiff. But aside from that, it's charming. It's really fun to do. So.
All right. Well, that sounds like something to put on the calendar for sure. Anybody here from Women's West Side? I'll speak quickly to an issue that they've been communicating with me about. They're having trouble with their sprinkler system. Jessie West is an expert on that, and she usually assists them, but she's not available. So if anybody knows somebody who knows how to, who's savvy about these sprinkling systems, and would be willing to volunteer some effort, would you kindly reach out to me or to Women's West Side? And we're going to see if we can get the Rose Garden sprinkler system up and running a little bit. So that's it for community briefs. I apologize. I see Nate here with a big beard. I haven't seen him in a long time. And Ernest, I apologize that we're running late. The fire marshal had lots of questions to answer. So you've got a street closure request in. We stand ready to sign off on that. You know what we need from you. I can come by the bar, it's on the corner anytime if you've got the stuff we need, and we're happy to sign off on that. Would you like to share a little bit with the community about what that event's going to look like?
Sure. Hi, everybody. This is a memorial for Mr. Richard Lampa, who has been my landlord for the last 13 years and a lifelong resident of Richmond. I'm sure a lot of you know Mr. Lampa or know of him, or however you skin that cat. And we just wanted to kind of do a special celebration because he was a big part of the community and a big part of help building businesses in town with the buildings he owned. And so we've been coordinating with the city of Richmond. We have pretty much gone through everything except for this meeting. We've coordinated with the bus people. We've organized for bathrooms. We've done everything on that side, and we just want to have a little celebration 12 to 4 on Saturday the 16th. We will be providing food and beverage for the community and whoever wants to come by for the event. We are going to put a stage that we are going to borrow from the Point Richmond neighborhood music folks. And so just a good old block party for 4 hours right there on the main corner that he owns between the Up and Under Pub and Grill and the pizza and the taqueria, that location right there, pretty much right in the front of those. And that's kind of it in a nutshell. If there's any questions, we can field them, myself or Ernest. I'm not sure if Ernest, did we lose him or not? He said he had technical difficulties.
He's there.
He's there. Okay, good.
Can you hear us, Ernest? You're muted.
Yeah, you got to on the bottom.
Probably on the top right of your screen, Ernest. There might be three, I don't know, an unmute button. It looks like you're getting tech support.
Don't break the computer, Ernest.
$700,000 of equipment in his warehouse.
Buzz, you might be able to unmute him under the participant list.
Might be, hang on.
Ernest, in the screen, in the image with your picture, if you put the cursor on your picture, you will see a blue button that says mute, and then click on that and it'll say unmute. Click on that and it'll unmute you. So where your picture is, put the cursor where your picture is, then go up to the right corner. It says unmute, and then just
Down here. There you go.
There you go.
You got it.
Holy
Yay!
smoke.
Welcome.
Yay.
And
We're
we're sorry
advanced
we're
cases.
sorry for your loss, even though it was a while back.
No, thank you very much. I'm sorry I couldn't figure that out just now, but I'm not a computer geek. I'm a chainsaws and stuff like that.
You also sound exactly like your dad.
I hung around them for 55 years. It kind of rubbed off on me. But we greatly appreciate everything that you're doing there, and we appreciate the approval, and we're going to make it a nice event, and we're planning the heck out of it. Should be very good for food, some music, just hang time for the community. Everything's free. There's nothing being charged to anybody, and just a good old American get together.
It sounds terrific. So I understand that AC Transit is fine on
100%.
Yeah, they
100%.
are.
They were-
They're gonna redirect over on Canal and Cutting, kind of right by the wonderful new little coffee shop right there on that corner. I guess that's what the guy said he wants to do, and it was fine.
Okay.
So that's
Do
their
you,
just
did they send you anything just okaying this? Because that
Yeah,
was really our most outstanding thing.
yeah. I'll forward something over to you, Peter. That of the email chain that I have. I think the gentleman's name is Peter Peter
Great.
Joe. Yeah.
And
Um,
you have a handful of signatures on that form now from the neighbors?
Yes, and I can send that over too. We kind of wrapped all that and got it to the city just so they have it. But I'll circle that back, all that to you either tonight or tomorrow morning.
Nate, why don't we do this to save time because we've had communication with the city. Can I
Okay.
go over to the pub tomorrow and sign that paper and then it will be done?
Yes, or I could send it to you electronically if you want.
Okay, then I could print it out and sign it.
Sure. Yeah, you get it back
I'll
to me
drop
and
it
then
off. Right.
Yeah,
And then
then
I can email the city and say, you came here and, that was only the two outstanding things. So as long as you have them, as far as the PRNC is concerned, we're happy to sign off. I do want to remind the membership that the nature of the events that we sign off is totally irrelevant. All we need to do is the city gives us the criteria for each event. And then if it's met, we sign off on it. So if it's a memorial service or a concert or an art show, it's irrelevant to us. The rules, just the city tells us what we want. Kate, did you have a question about this?
Yes, I'm not informed about the traffic issues that might develop, and how will cars go from cutting West Richmond in front of the bank to get by the up and under, or take a right? Will they be stopped and can't go on Railroad?
Yeah, we will have Railroad blocked off there at West Richmond, so they indirectly can go up to Park Place, turn down. If they need to get on Railroad, they could circle back over to there. It's just going to be a 4-hour block, but they will be able to access the other side of Railroad. They'll just have to route around Park Place.
Can you give us the time schedule? I don't think I heard a time. I heard a date.
I didn't hear. Yeah, thank you for the time.
July 16th from 12 p.m. to 4 p.m.
You're all
I'm
welcome.
sorry. Thank you. I'm not clear how the traffic in front of the bank will be routed back around to get. Is there going to be signs or?
There's no issue in front of the bank. That West Richmond's 100% open.
Yeah, that whole thing will be open. It's just when you make the turn on Railroad at the pub, and you won't be able to turn right there. We're just
I
gonna
see.
block. Yeah,
Okay.
we're gonna block it from that corner to just about the edge of the Taqueria. I think that's
Okay.
100
Okay.
feet or something.
I gotcha. Thank you.
Okay, you're welcome.
Any other questions on this issue? Okay, yeah. So
Who's
let's
the
get it.
band? Who's the
What?
band?
There's 3 bands. I'm sorry, I don't have that information, but there's 3 of them. Well, there'll be 2 of them outside, and then we'll have one inside, just so people can get out of the street and keep the music going.
And are you doing a barbecue, Nate?
I'm going to work with Ernest on what food, but more than likely there'll be some type of barbecue, whether it's chicken or pork. But yeah, there'll be a range of protein and salads, pasta salads, or this once you give the clearance, now we can have the fun to figure out what that food is going to be.
Is there anybody who has any objection to us signing off on this tomorrow or as soon as possible? Speak now. All righty. We'll see you soon. Are you here, Nate, or are you elsewhere?
No, I was down quick. I'm in Oregon in my wonderful wonderful life.
Oh,
But
looks gorgeous. You have a
Yeah.
lot more property there than you had here, and it looks like your shed was bigger than your house.
yes, and yes.
If you could just coordinate with Donna to either get it to me and I can leave it for her, or
Yep.
anybody at the counter, just tell me what you want to do, because we need to, get that to PBQ, because
I'll
city
have
is
it.
still going to have to run stuff.
I'll have it in your inbox probably about 6:30, 7 a.m. tomorrow.
That's perfect. And for those of you who were inquiring earlier, the city will handle police and fire concerns. So
Yeah.
the only thing that and this was a good learning experience for the board, who, thank you, spent many hours figuring out what this requires, because now we have that knowledge for future requests like this. The AC Transit is handled by the applicant, then they submit it, then the city runs it by police and fire. So, and then ultimately it's out of our hands, the PRNC's hands. Thank you so much, guys. I look forward to having some pork or chicken or other protein.
Don't
Wonderful.
eat breakfast.
Thank you, guys, and we'll see you out there on the 16th.
All right. Thank you all.
Take care.
Thank you.
Bye.
Okay. And I think I have a request from Cordell for public forum,
Yes.
When he's done.
and
I got
Karen
you.
next. So we'll start with Cordell and then go to Karen.
So I came up with an idea for a future agenda topic. As I brought up last time, was regarding the.
Hold that guy. You got no power here, dude.
Hold on. I thought that was me talking. I was like, oh, can I start? Can I start again?
Yeah, go ahead, Cordell.
Anyway, so I came up with an idea for a future topic. As I brought up last time, I was thinking that either for next month or September's meeting, we would like to have what's her name? Lydia Elias to come and give an overview on the Travel Safe Richmond project, because when she came to the RNCC last month, I was intrigued by that, and so that's one possibility. Then the second option was to have to invite Shasta Curl to give us an update on where we at, what's going on with our city, things of that nature. So those are a couple of suggestions that I had.
Am I correct, Lisa, that you have reached out to both of those people or their departments? Lisa,
Is that,
Oh.
you're muted.
what was that, Philip?
Am I correct that per Cordell's suggestion last month, that you have reached out to both of those departments for a future visit?
Yes.
Thanks, Cordell. So we're on that. And a reminder, there is a July meeting, but there will be no August meeting, because that's our vacation month. So we'll see who's lined up for July. The board meeting is next week, and we'll see what that meeting is going to look like.
Yeah, so City Manager Curl is going to be coming for the July,
Okay.
and she'll talk about, things in the city and the budget, which they just passed last Tuesday.
That was a very quiet eye roll, Lisa. Thank you. So there you go. We're right on it, Cordell, or Lisa is, at least. She knows everybody. And then,
Travel Safe Richmond's next then, and that's with Lydia, so.
right, later in the summer.
Yes.
And then Karen, you were up, and Kate wants to speak.
I just wanted to announce that Point Richmond Music Concerts, second Friday summer concerts are back. And we're going to be back on stage on July 8th, Friday, July 8th. And we still need volunteers if anybody wants to pitch in and help set up at 3:30 or take down at 8:30. And there's also other, volunteer slots at the t-shirt booth. So yeah, it's great to be back. We're very happy. The first concert will be Bluegrass and Aki Kumar, Bollywood Blues, who's a real amazing performer.
Thank you. And I do forget to mention, and I had intended to, that the PRNC has donated its reoccurring $500 donation to the music festival. So we're sponsoring that to some extent. Thanks for reminding me, Karen. It was supposed to, I was going to mention and I forgot. And Kate, I think you're the last in public forum.
Unmute. Yeah, a couple of things that keep showing up in my end of the neighborhood, which are speeding through the tunnel. And I believe this organization has already broached that subject to the city once, if not more times. And the second thing would be the donut wheelies that go on in the center of town at midnight on some weekends. And I'm just really concerned about a lack of police presence in Point Richmond and or speed bumps in the tunnel.
I think that maybe the board can circle back around with Peter to pick up what they call traffic calming discussions again. Unfortunately, he has been banging his head against the wall with the city public works guy who is not cooperative. But that's really important. And I would encourage all of you to write to Councilman Martinez, who keeps reminding us that he feels that these, what they call donuts or sideshows, are cultural and should be tolerated. And so has discouraged the police from pursuing those sideshows. So this is a citywide problem. You know, Kate, that I live right on the corner from where these are occurring. So they'll wake you right up. They'll wake the dead. You know, they're so loud. But I think we can continue. But I think that all of us should start to attend those city council meetings. Public forum is right at the beginning, and just speak your mind. And personally, I think, I'm not supposed to be political, but I think that it's safe to say if you call out an individual council member on their policies, I think it's fair to do. So I'm with you on that.
It might be worth.
Go ahead.
It might be worth emailing your city council people directly. They do, if you go on the Richmond website, they do have their email addresses, their city email addresses, and send them a note. There's no harm in that. And, you know, this has been something that PRNC has been pursuing for as long as I've been on the PRNC, and I know that my predecessors were doing it too. I don't know why we can't make any progress on it, but
because it's political.
Peter, are you referring to the donut experience, the donut traffic issue, or the speed bumps in the tunnel?
I'm speaking more to the tunnel issue. Those sideshows are a fairly new event, and I certainly think they should be, you know, I'd like to find a really big, cheap dump truck and just slowly drive through one of those things and see if I can disrupt it. But, you know, I don't know that the city is ever going to do anything. So. And
Lisa has pointed out that there are problems on Lower Cutting, I think, and, you know, up around Brickyard Cove, because over by Red Oak Victory, it's kind of more abandoned. So it becomes a speedway. And that's been ongoing in those neighborhoods. And then the blatant kind of much more dangerous, I think, you know, wheelies in the middle of town square are newer. So I think maybe we should invite public safety over at the end of the summer and find out what's going on over there.
So
sure, that's
I
a
could
good
just
suggestion.
real quick. So last night's council meeting, there was a gentleman who called in furious about the donuts on Barrett and I can tell you there's various mechanisms that people have employed throughout the city to try to get the attention to get help in their neighborhood. And it's political at this point. the city is also so understaffed in public works right now that it's, Joe Leach as the public works director will hear the requests and hear all that, but all he can really do is say thank you. But there's nobody really at the helm to help carry out the work. They're so understaffed. So the problem is twofold. It's political and it's a lack of staffing. So
Can you tell me why Public Works is involved in something like this? I'm not sure I understand the
Public
duties.
Works is involved in the traffic calming effort.
Oh, calming. Okay, thank
yeah.
you.
So if you want
Thank
to
you.
put dot bots or any of those types of things, that's who that goes through. And the
Okay.
council last summer decided that the top 2 priority neighborhoods was May Valley, who had one sideshow, and Aryan Hilltop. And it was all politics, and the Flatlands, who have been asking for and begging for help for years, was pushed to the side. So
Okay.
this is really political, and the only way we're going to make a headway on this is to keep reaching out to the council in a very public manner by either doing a concerted, one neighborhood did a, what do you call that when you get a bunch of signatures? A petition?
Petition.
One neighborhood did a petition and had a lot of people sign it. And then they had somebody speak at the city council meeting and say how many signatures they were, and they turned that in a written format to the council in the city. So this is what it's coming to, is really just speaking up in loud voices and continuing to put the pressure on them. So that's the best advice that I can give.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thanks. Karen, we got to make it quick because we're running over.
Say that same council member Martinez is running for mayor, so keep that in mind when you vote in November.
Thank you. That's an important thing to point out. Before we go to the final remembrance and celebration and adjourn, I want to remember the board. I want to remind the board to please stay on after the meeting. We have a few minutes to discuss something that needs to happen tomorrow. So anybody have any remembrances or celebrations? Okay, it's 9:09. I move we adjourn the meeting, and I do.
Happy 4th to everybody.
Happy 4th to everybody. I forgot that's upcoming. And do not set off fireworks. Thanks for those of you who joined us, and the board's going to stay on for a few minutes. Thank you so much. All right, we're here. Okay, so Charmaine is needing a little help with finishing the $8,000 what do you call that thing? Grant application. Where are you, Charmaine, so we can figure out who might be able to pick it up tomorrow? It is due on Friday, I believe.
Okay, so I'm still writing the rough draft. I am not ready to turn that over to anybody, but maybe by tomorrow morning, like early, I would be able to, because I probably need 2 or 3 hours of work to get a proper rough draft that's not so rough. And then somebody needs to help me review it and try to make sure that we've done the checklist of everything we need to do. There are many sections, it's many pages. Margie helped me on Monday, and I haven't had that much time this week to really get it done. And I'm a little worried because I have something I have to do at 12 o'clock tomorrow. And I will be going on vacation on Friday, but I don't have to leave real early. I could be available Friday morning. So I'm gonna hurry and get the draft done as quickly as I can. And it's just gonna be a big document, which I could email you and you could read, but I need somebody to go over all the details and help me make sure that we, dot the I's, cross the T's, and do what they ask. If we do what they ask, we will get $8,000 toward the repair of the mural, the tunnel mural.
Okay, so Sue had mentioned that she might be available in the afternoon section. So it's possible that since you're doing, you hope to wrap up, first and foremost, I bet that Charmaine's rough draft is better than most people's polished draft. I'm assuming that.
Here, here.
Exactly.
So I did call Margie right after I spoke to Charmaine. She's going to call Winifred, who is the department head in charge of this, and explain the truth that you've been ill with COVID and that other board members, Lisa's not been feeling well, are a little ill. And first and foremost, find out if we could just put this off for at least maybe till Wednesday of next week. She must be aware that if the document was so challenging to fill out that they have to have a seminar on it, that having the seminar on Saturday and having the thing turned in 4 business days later is Richmond. So hopefully, Margie, you have a relationship with Winifred, right?
Well, I spoke to her a few times, yeah.
Okay, could you give her a call and just say, hey, we're 90% there, but we respect that this needs to be properly done, and we just need a couple more days to go over and find out if we can get an extension,
Okay.
for a couple days, and that would allow us to breathe. It would allow me to give some time at least to look at it. I have a feeling you're probably in good shape, Charmaine.
Even if you
And
asked for Tuesday, because it's a holiday, so they're not, it's due on Friday. They're not going to look at it or it's due, Friday, July 1st, right? So they're
Yes.
not going to look at it Friday because you technically have until 5 p.m. Friday, right? Or midnight Friday. I don't even think it said. So they're not going to look at it Saturday, Sunday, or Monday, a holiday. So even if you asked if we could turn it in on Tuesday, just to give us that buffer, because people.
well, ask for next Friday. Ask for a week, but take what they give us.
And I have 3 hours in the middle of the day. That's what I have tomorrow.
And I can try, I mean, if we have 2 people looking at it, between Sue and I, what I didn't have, and I was just saying this to Philip, was I didn't have any of the budget information, so I can't really review that, and I can look over what, when I was looking at the application, you had to have, do we have images of the tunnel and those types of things
Yeah,
already?
we have that, and we have the budget, and we have
Margie, I didn't get your images. They didn't come through. Could you send them again?
No, of course, of course.
I didn't get that far in doing everything, so I didn't get back to you about it, but
Well,
now that
okay, so
I need them.
Charmaine, I have an idea. Why don't you do what you're doing? And let's not worry about the images. We'll put the images to the next group of people that are picking it up.
Okay,
And you're gonna be gone. You're gone next week too, right?
yeah,
So you're gonna be turning it over, and you've done a fabulous job, and we totally appreciate it. And then we'll fill in those other pieces.
okay.
But we do have images, so that's
Okay.
good.
So who should I hand it to tomorrow morning?
Well, it's going to be all done electronically, correct?
Whatever you want. Yes, email.
That makes the most sense because it seems like maybe Lisa, and this may become not a crisis, between Lisa and Sue, particularly if you're on Google Docs or somewhere where you can be talking and editing simultaneously, and Lisa does that so quickly. Talk about I's and T's. She's got a scientist brain on that. It's quite possible that maybe the two of you could just edit it out together, and we might possibly be able to finish it in a couple of hours. Because thank you, Charmaine.
It all
I
kind of
think
depends.
so. So I just want to tell you that right now it's a Word document, and I'll just keep it like that, and then I'll just send it to you, and you can make a Google Doc out of it. So I'll write as much as I can tonight and early in the morning, and then I'll send it to Margie, Lisa, and Sue. Is that okay?
That sounds terrific. And if you gals need me, I will be available by phone, but I will not be home tomorrow. We've got medical appointments.
Yeah.
All right, I'm thinking that me, Lisa, and Margie should be meeting then. I'm just thinking like I'll be home at about 10:30. And maybe at that point, we'll find out if Margie has been able to get in touch with whoever to see about the deadline.
I'll call in the morning, okay?
So 10:30, And Charmaine, do you want to? Would it be helpful if you were on that call too, like all of us, just to like next steps?
Yes.
Because
I
I'm
can-
completely, yeah, I have
So
no idea what's going
I
on.
can email you by 10:30. That gives me a deadline. I have to wake up real early. And I can be on a Zoom call with all of you, and you can look at the document and we can go from there.
Anybody want to volunteer to make the Zoom call for 10:30?
I can make a Zoom call.
Oh, yeah. Buzz, if you could do
I
that.
can do that.
Awesome. Yeah.
Thank you.
Bye.
And Lisa
I
can
can
share
do
that.
it. Buzz, I can actually do it because I know how to get in there and then you don't have
Okay,
to stay
That's
on the
fine.
call.
Yeah, I'm not quite sure what my morning looks like, so.
Yeah.
Plus, you know how to screen share, so that might be very handy.
And
Well,
what
I
think-
want to thank you all because I know that Charmaine is quite upset about this, but I suspect that I suspect we're above 90, that we're ahead of 90% of the other applicants. And there's a high level of confidence because Margie has obviously laid a groundwork with the city. So,
Okay, we decided 10:30 tomorrow, correct?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll send out a Zoom link. For,
No,
is it
I
gonna be the
think-
4 of us? Margie, Charmaine, me and Sue, right?
The ladies.
The ladies.
the ladies. Now, I think what's gonna happen is when Charmaine throws this at us, it's gonna take a couple hours to look at it because I saw how much writing was done. So I think that meeting tomorrow is great, but I think we're gonna probably have to regroup again in the afternoon or the following morning. But tomorrow I'll know whether I've talked to Weatherford
Yeah.
or not. So good.
And then
And I am
Charmaine-
available Friday morning, but I don't know the time I'd be available. Like, I don't know, maybe 10 or 11, maybe
I'm not
Friday.
available Friday morning. So one thing, if Charmaine, because you've got the most familiarity with it since you've been working on it, if you know of ways for us to even divvy up the work and maybe
Exactly.
close that tomorrow, that's another way to kind of streamline this. So if you think Sue can handle this, I can handle this, or Margie on certain things, that would be super. Like the budget and stuff, that won't be me because I didn't have anything to do with that. But reading the project and all that, absolutely.
Okay. So maybe I could do the budget since I know a little bit about that. But I think you've got it pretty much, Charmaine. I
Yeah,
think you're a
but
lot farther
didn't write
away.
it all up yet. That's the problem. I just didn't
Yeah.
write it all up. So I'll spend
Yeah.
my time trying to get that done. By
Perfect,
10.
that's great. That's great. And don't
ladies,
worry about it.
I'm grateful to all of you. And again, I'm confident that Margie and Charmaine have got it much further along than many. And if there's anything I could do on the phone tomorrow, somebody give me a call. I can't imagine that somebody who doesn't know me in the city would care any more about what I had to say than delightful Margie.
I don't think that's true. I think what Charmaine was so smart about was trying to word it so that it was constantly about the community and not just Point Richmond, but the community, and all the things we could do that could make it more fun and maybe more enticing for the city to want to give us the money. So she did a really good
I'll
job.
explain all that to you tomorrow. I'll explain the whole idea of it and you can read through parts of it, okay?
Perfect.
Thank you all
Thank you.
for this meeting.
I just want to say before everybody goes, Phil, you did a great job today. This was a beautifully run meeting.
Thanks.
You're very professional. And Lisa, you're adding so much to it. And everybody, Margie, Buzz, you too.
Yeah, it was
You
good.
too, Peter, you too, Sue.
What about
And
me?
Peter, we
you
love
too,
you
Sue.
too.
I'm doing the artwork for the Point Richmond Music Festival. I'm
I
excited.
heard it's
Oh,
yeah,
Oh,
I
you should
heard.
see it. It's really, really.
Thank you.
Everyone's bragging about that
Really?
they got you. Yeah, they're all. Pam was like, "You'll never believe who's doing the artwork." She was very excited.
Well, Bruce
Great,
was out of
great.
town, that's why.
That's fine too.
Yeah.
But it's
So
good.
Listen,
who's
that's how I got this
getting-
job. It was my turn, right?
Yeah, you poor thing.
If we don't see you, happy 4th of July. But a little update in the afternoon about this project, just to put our minds at ease, would be great. Thank you, ladies.
Okay.
Okay,
Okay.
bye.
Bye-bye.
Have a good
Bye-bye.
evening, everyone.
Everyone.
Good night.
Happy
Good
4th.
night. You too.